Ganz in sich gekehrt, schreitet.
Very withdrawn and as yet unharmed, young Hans walks past the beggar, who lurkingly stretches out his hat towards him. Unfortunately, what Hans doesn't see is that the squatting beggar is about to jump at him.
Zum Wurf und Sprung hat angesetzt. Mein Name ist Hans-Rudi Giger.
My name is Hans-Rudi Giger. I'm an artist working with sculpture and painting. I trained at the School of Fine Arts in Zurich to be a designer and interior architect. Here we are in the museum inside my own house.
Wir befinden uns jetzt hier im hauseigenen Museum. Ein kurzes Schwirren.
A quick whir, a spinning thing sails through the air. Behind him the beggar's shadow. Then a swish, barely audible. Wasn't that his right arm, cut off? The beggar has got what he needs. Triumphing as if it was his own, he disappears in line 14.
Eine Welt ohne Geld.
A world without money? That's impossible. There always needs to be something to exchange. Money is just an abstract form of exchange. That's why it's there. If there were no money, we would need to carry far too many things around with us.
Darum gibt's es und nichts geben müsste man viel zu viel rumschleppen.
Somehow I got this museum. I never intended to open a museum. I don't know how this came to be. It's funny.
Ich weiß nicht, wie das gegangen ist. Ganz komisch. Sind natürlich nicht so viele.
Of course, at the beginning, there weren't as many visitors as I would have liked. I had thought that people would just come in crowds, but the big crowds just walk past the castle. I had to draw attention to the museum, and so I put some attractive sculptures outside the front door. Since then, I know where all the money goes. I need to watch out really carefully that I don't run into debt. I'm not interested in money itself. You just need to have enough of it. Well, I don't have any money on me. Usually I give a lot of tips, and I do have some money on me, just not today. As an artist, I probably have more freedom than I have as an entrepreneur. But still, my museum has helped me a lot to get better publicity. Otherwise, I would have been known simply as the guy doing posters and horror stuff. The people who'd been sneering at my work before changed their mind after they visited my museum. Once they see it in a museum, they think it's serious work, and they realize that I've done a lot of things other than horror. And that solidifies my reputation.
Ich habe doch einen Haufen gemacht und nicht einfach nur Horror. Also, das tut meinen Ruf zementiert.
As a boy, I drew a lot of castles and halls and trains. And the funny thing is that I now own a castle. And in the garden, I've got my own little railroad. I can sit on the train and drive around with it. I had never fixed myself onto that kind of goal. And it's funny how it has just come about now. It took a fairly long time until I saw myself as an artist and chose it as my profession. Now, when you've got enough money at the right time, you might be able to produce a catalogue or a book. For me, that was fairly important, because the very moment that Necronomicon was printed, I got an offer from 20th Century Fox, who were making the movie Alien, to do the artwork for that movie. And without that book, that would never have happened. Never. I think that as an artist, you should be able to do the things you've got in your head. And sometimes these are not cheap things. When I finish a piece of art, it usually needs to be cast. And to cast it in aluminium, in iron or bronze is a very expensive process.
In Eis oder in Bronze, das sind teure Sachen.
You realize whether you produce quality or not. The auction tells you your real value. There you find out what you're worth, and that's quite difficult, because some things were sold at a ridiculous price, and that made me really angry. Nowadays I hold the copyright for my earlier work. The copyright is the most important thing for an artist. I've been living off that for quite a while now. Financial freedom and wealth is very important. Otherwise you can't develop. If you always have to watch that you have enough to eat and don't starve, then any creative work becomes a luxury you can't afford. And that couldn't be my purpose in life. People like it when an artist is starving. Then they feel like you produce something true, something authentic. If you suffer while creating art, I don't fully agree with that. I don't see why I should suffer. I think one ought to make his own life as comfortable as possible.
Was ich mit meinem Geld bewege, ist, ich tue, glaube ich, einen Haufen.
Who do I affect with my money? I think I encourage and inspire a lot of people through my pictures and sculptures, especially young people.
Vor allem die Jugend.
What the devil does all this have to do with St. Gotthard? That much we know, the holy mountain of the gods, San Gottardo. And the moral of the tale, if you want to keep your arms and legs, then don't be stingy with your change. And what is young Hans's face? Armless, legless, armed with 4 artificial limbs, he finally finds time to read.